Welcome to Mindfulness Manufacturing, the podcast for manufacturing leaders and professionals.
Designed for high impact on your way to work or unwind on your way home to gain clarity for tomorrow.
Step out of your comfort zone and discover new perspectives to add value, get results, and make a difference.
Yes, let's jump in.
Well, Dave, I was about to start a training session a couple days ago with a group of manufacturing leaders, and we're talking about the aware leader. I'm all pumped up. And I got a call from my son about 15 minutes before. He's 22 and he's going through some major challenges that I'll explain here, but I can tell you as a dad, I was shook up, and it was difficult for me and my mindset to kind of get back on track. A lot of that comes down to just that resilience and what we practice ahead of time, but it was still hard. And you, Dave, had something in your life to change your mindset this week, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I tell you, our guest today provided us this great quote, which has helped me. Check this out. Mindset drives and shapes all that we do, how we engage with others, and how we behave in every moment and every situation. And it's from the Arbinger Institute. And I saw that and read that in the wake of having to put my best buddy down, man's best friend, on Monday, just a couple of days ago. And you talk about a heartbreaker. It absolutely tore me up. And quite honestly, it's not easy to talk about, but I have been doing my best thus far to just hold it together. And that's all I can do. But it's all about mindset, and my mindset in this grieving process of losing him has been ebb and flow in the days that, since it's transpired, and where I keep, I fight self-pity, anger, restlessness, just woe is me. And what am I going to do? It's just, if I don't check my mindset, man, we go in dark places, and you can't move forward. And I've found myself stuck, and it's like, check your mindset, Dave. Where's your head at? Where is your head? And so, as we've got Jacob Knight, our guest with us today, Jacob is all about mindset, and so excited to have Jacob with us today. He's manager. He's a leader at ATFC in the Florence, South Carolina area. He owns Micro Precision, and he runs Straight Talk on LinkedIn, which is a fantastic community of like-minded folks just sharing thoughts and inspiration. So Jacob, welcome. And man, we can't wait to hear and learn how mindset has impacted you and your career and your personal life. So let's jump in, man. I mean, tell us about this.
Yeah. First off, Dave and Trevor, thank you for having me on the show. I've listened to several episodes and really enjoyed the content and the material. So thank you for that. Also, sorry to hear about your son, Trevor, going through some things in his life now. And I'll be hoping and praying that it'll strengthen him and helping him in the long run.
Absolutely.
And also, Dave, about your dog. I was, like you said, man's best friend. I know it's tough. And just let me say one thing on that. I know you talk about mindset. Doesn't always mean that you have to pretend like something different happened or something never happened. You have to deal with what happened, but deal with it in a positive way that'll get you out of that slump. So sorry to hear about that as well. Again, thank you. But mindset, whenever you think about mindset, there's a lot of different things that may come to mind. Maybe just how you think about something particularly, or could be a small scale or larger scale. But when I think about mindset, I just mean your general frame of mind. Whenever you get out of bed, whenever you look at a task, whenever you have an obstacle come your way, what's the foundation where you're coming from. And I think there's different levels to talk about, but I think at the end of the day, the success is driven from having the right kind of mindset as your foundational stepping stone.
So Jacob, as a dyed-in-the-wool manufacturing, born and bred, I mean, as I understand, man, I love this story where you started sweeping floors.
That's right. Right off the bat, I grew up, Southern in the country. Most of my family was, I guess you'd call them entrepreneurs. I didn't know what that word meant back then. We built houses, wired houses, put shingles on. I toted lumber, did all these things from, I think my dad kind of laughs about it. I was 3 years old the first time I pulled wire under a house. So I was doing that for ever since I was born, right? Come out of the womb, pulling wire with my G.I. Joes under the house. Yeah.
Nice.
So you talk about first large company that I was hired on to. I was still a teenager, just out of high school, and we're waiting on equipment to come into a facility. And, we were asked to sweep the floor. And I tell you what, I didn't know it at the time, but you could really tell a lot about people whenever they were asked to do that task. I think I had 24 to 30 people in my group, and most people were pretty upset about it. But I didn't know it at the time. But in my mind, I thought, hey, I'm gonna sweep the paint off the floor. I want to be the best floor sweeper in the plant. And most people may have thought that was beneath them, which I still sweep the floors now, and I don't mind it. I get pretty doggone good at it.
Yeah, it's funny, those first impressions. It's not necessarily, of course, there's discussions around, does this person have the hands? Do they have just the mechanical mindset? And that is a part. But if they don't, and they're sweeping that floor like nobody's business, and whatever they do, they are just going to do it the best they can. Man, it's hard to turn people away like that.
That's right. But if you look throughout, my career, that's definitely been the game changer for me. And if we look out in our society, in our culture, yes, there may be a lot of things going on now that aren't right per se, or maybe the odds are stacked against you. But I believe that you have to have a successful mindset, even while you fight against those things, because it's like, negative breeds negativity, and you're never really going to get out that slump and pull ahead unless you have the right kind of mindset. That's ownership, taking responsibility, taking, hey, I'm going to own up to this. I'm going to dig out this hole. And I, through the years, kind of developed some characteristics, some type of, mental strength that you need that doesn't cost you a penny. And I think that's what the big thing about mindset is. Anybody can have the right mindset. You don't have to be rich or poor, or you can be anybody. And I think that's the strength that you have, with mindset. Is it's not a degree you have to get. It's something you can actually, work up in your mind, and that comes out in your attitude and your behavior.
So Jacob, you opened the can of worms up, and I'm going in. All right, I'm gonna pull them out. What specifically for you has been so impactful in keeping your mindset where it is? I mean, what do you do that others may learn from, or could benefit in learning what you do every day that impacts that?
Okay. That's a big question, and could be a long answer.
Well, it's a big can of worms you opened up too.
A big can of worms. I'm going to just tell you kind of about my personal process. I'm not saying everybody has to have this, but I'm just going to let you know kind of where I come from, and then maybe some things I put together that I think are crucial to having the right mindset. For me, I had a process through life. I ended up going to school later on in life after I've had 4 children. That was an obstacle, but it was well worth it and very beneficial. But I had a lot of questions on my foundational, like, how I thought about the world. What is reality? What is, morality? All those type of questions. What is knowledge? Starting to get into all this philosophy. And my background is Christianity, and also probably some, Stoic philosophy. Just where you put your nose down and obstacle is the way type of mindset. So I'm kind of a mesh. If you think about it that way, that's kind of my foundation that I have grown into, and I believe that's what helps me propel forward. But there's some generalities, there's some general rules, if you want to call it that, I think are beneficial for mindset. I call them, and I can't take all this credit. I got a great team. I've worked with some great people through the companies, and we've always participated in knowledge sharing, training, building each other up. One of my big things is I share everything I know. I don't keep any trade secrets or any secrets from anybody or anything. So I've always poured myself out because that made me grow in the process. But having said that, I like to think of it in 3 categories. One is the golden rule, and everybody basically knows what that is. Doing to others as you would have them doing to you. But under that is more respect. It's this genuine respect for people, where I really believe people are valuable, and I want to behave in such a way that shows respect to them. And I know their worth. They're human. They're valuable. And in my worldview, they're made in the image of God. I want to treat them right, and I want to help them succeed. The other one is like internal drive. So I got this one aspect where I believe I'm going to respect everybody the best that I can. I'm going to give them respect right off the bat. And then it's a strong work ethic. I'm doing my work unto the Lord. Or, you can think about, hey, I'm doing my work, for me, so to speak, for my betterment. Not trying to impress somebody. It's internally instead of an external thing. I'm not doing it just for a dollar or just for a title. Passion and energy, preparation. Think about it, having a positive attitude. All these things that I'm saying don't cost you anything. These are things that are developed from within and from within your mind. The other one is progress, moving forward. I want to keep getting better. I need to be flexible. I need to be coachable. I need to be able to learn and to grow. And those are the things I kind of put together that I believe everybody can benefit from. And I call them the golden rule, the internal drive, and progress. And I think and that's really not anything really new. You can go online and find memes or whatever you call them that have broken down types of mindsets that don't cost you anything. But those are how I look at them.
So Jacob, I hear you, and yes, it's on the internet, and those are good things. We're talking manufacturing here. We're making the same thing. We got a routine. So I get on calls and I see people and I'll say, hey, Jacob, how you doing? And how do you respond when they say, I'm living the dream?
Right. So that's actually a pretty good, pretty funny line. And I even use it joking around because we hear it so much. We hear that phrase a lot of times, living the dream. Just to kind of take a step back, right? I'm going to go off of what you said a second ago. You were saying that, in the manufacturing world, how do we have this type of mindset? This when you need it the most. I mean, whenever you're doing something day in, day out, you're punching the clock. And I know you all have experienced this, but morale, you can lose it in a heartbeat. Morale can be lost in a second, and it's hard to build a good culture. In manufacturing, I believe, and maybe I'm partial because that's what's in my blood, but culture and morale are everything. So this is the utmost important in a job where people can easily feel like they're stuck, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you're stuck. And I think that the plan that we put together is the path to get you unstuck. So whenever somebody says something like that, living the dream, right? I'll kind of laugh about it too. I may say I'm living a dream, or or I've been busy. But really what's going on is, somebody's probably giving you some sort of clue that they're unhappy and they want to tell you about it. So,
yes, I like
in another
that.
way, I'll say, hey, what's going on? And going back to the story about losing your man's best friend, Dave, you were saying it was hard to focus. Really, if you were able to open up to somebody, a lot of times that helps you clear out. So usually whenever somebody has something to say, I'll say, hey, I might laugh about it to start with initially, but then ask them, hey, what's going on? Tell me about it. What happened? And then kind of sympathize and empathize with them a little bit. And usually that does start to change the mood.
Yeah. And Jacob, I appreciate you bringing that up. And I'll tell you, twice this week, I was asked to go to dinner. And I said, I know the guy. And I said, honestly, no, I don't want to go. He said, guess what, Dave? Come on, we're going anyway. And I'm telling you, it was the best thing. I needed that. And the second time, so a buddy called me and, it's like, hey, I don't feel like talking. I was totally transparent with him. I said, dude, I don't feel like talking. And he said, all right, well, if you don't call me back, I'm calling you again. So in my time, I called him back. I did not want to, but I did anyway, because I knew that I needed to do that. I just absolutely needed to do it. And that has helped keep me moving forward. And that's huge. So
self-aware too.
Great application there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I reference this a lot around women in manufacturing and how the numbers are not growing. They've been stagnant for a long time. That's definitely, I think, one thing that women can definitely bring to manufacturing that sometimes males suck at, which is living the dream, just laugh it off. But I love your response, Jacob. It's kind of like, tell me more about that. Like,
Sure.
Is that funny? Is that a little sarcastic, or is that actually a call for help? Because I totally agree with you. It's kind of like, what's underneath that?
But it could be a fourth thing, and it could be reality. And that person truly is excited and on the top of their game, living their dream. And, so it can be anywhere in between there, but yeah.
So maybe the right response is tell me more, because then you can understand, is it like, are they in their dream or are they in a nightmare? And yeah, it's just one of those things. And I think it's what you said, Jacob. It's being that, having the mindset of being open enough to be curious. If you're in the right mindset, you can do that. And it's those little things that you do. Like I watched some TED talk. I remember it was like, when you put your feet outside your bed and you get out in the morning, the first thing you say is something great's going to happen today.
That's right.
Like in manufacturing, it's not something we talk about a lot, but it's like, you got to have something, right? And it's not going to make your day worse if you say something great's going to happen.
That's right. I'm more of a realist, but I don't let that stop me from being positive. As a business owner, business leader, you do have to be a realist. You can't proceed, with unicorns and hopping around and everything's going to be wonderful. But you can proceed. All right, here's the situation. What do we do about it? How do we change this? How do we get where we're going? Here's a little setback, but we know we're going to get through this. Look what we already got through. Remind yourself of where you've already come and then where you need to go. And that's another great example of the right mindset propelling you forward.
Jacob, and I think that's what the listeners want to hear. They don't want to hear that you have a perfect mindset. They want to hear that it's okay to be upset.
That's right.
That's okay. It doesn't mean you're not a positive person. It actually makes you more authentic, because it's like, yeah, this is not good right now. And however, we know that it's not always going to be like this.
Yeah.
It's just where we are right now. And we gotta own it, like you said, and sit with it and figure out the next thing. But I think it's what I'm hearing from you is that it's like that bigger picture, higher vision. I was talking to a manufacturing team this morning. They're basically just saying they're kind of stuck. Like they're in that routine, but they really weren't working towards anything. Yeah. So, I like how you describe that. And it's like, however that looks like to your plant or to your organization or to you as an individual, but where are you going?
That's
You know,
right.
and enjoy the process.
And if you don't have the opportunity to create that vision, it may be easy for me to say that because I can somewhat create a vision and everybody go towards that, but not everybody has that. And I'll say one thing you can do is if you're stuck, how can I add value to my friend? How can I add value to my coworker? And if you really work on adding value to other people, you'll start to grow. Even if maybe your supervisor doesn't have the vision you want to see, maybe the company you're at, you feel like you're just going nowhere and it's hopeless. Well, start actively adding value to other people and your mindset will begin to change. Maybe that company won't be there for you forever, but you'll start to develop the right type of mindset for success.
And the lens that you look through,
that's right,
is exactly how you're going to end up seeing things and begin shaping your future.
That's right. And you brought up lens, so that reminds me of my glasses analogy. A lot of times, life is like the weather. You got sand coming in your eyes, you got wind, you got hail, you got tornado coming. Well, tornado is going to be kind of rough, but all of these things are just flying around at you. And a lot of times I think about mindset as a good pair of goggles, a nice pair of glasses that allow you to see clearly even during these hard times. It's not painting you some perfect picture, some fake picture or fake analogy. It doesn't have things drawn on the lenses, but it's giving you a clear view so you can clearly look forward and map your goal out. So mindset's a lot like a good pair of goggles, good glasses that keeps the dust of the world and it keeps those struggles from interfering your vision. And it really helps you set your mind forward. Yeah, that's a good analogy that I like to use.
Yeah, and another one is kind of like, your mindset is kind of like your diet. You've got a junk food diet or a healthy diet. And between the two, I mean, just like, your mindset, it directs your future. It impacts the result, right?
100%. You have to have food to come in your body, right? Or most of us do. We have to have food to survive. You can fill it with junk or you can fill it with something fairly nutritional, even if you're not perfect. But you're going to get healthier. You're going to get stronger. You're going to have a better quality of life if you eat the right things. And that's a lot like mindset. If you have the right mindset, you will get better. You will grow. Doesn't always mean your circumstances are going to be perfect, but you'll be more happy. If that's, I know happy is a little, shaky kind of word, but in the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to feel good.
Nobody wakes up and says, I want to be unhappy today.
Right.
I don't think.
I don't think so either. I've met some people, though. I've had some challenges. I've met some people that I felt were that negative, but I'll tell you one thing real quick. Actually, this person wasn't a negative person, but I was at an organization and we were having a meeting with an outside company had come in, and they were asking, why did y'all buy into this system that Jacob brought after you've been here 25 years? How could you buy into some new system? Because I brought in lean manufacturing and thinking and all of these ideas that we have today talking about. And they said this, and I'm not bragging, but this really touched my soul and I think about it a lot. He said, because I knew he cared. Because I knew he cared.
Wow.
Somebody been here 25 years was okay with changing the culture because they knew that I cared for them and that I was at least trying, even though I wasn't always successful, I was at least trying to make their lives better and at least trying to benefit them. And that's a testimony. I mean, that's something that I go back to a lot. Am I showing people that I care in my mindset? Am I acting in such a way that people go home at night and say, that guy cares about me? Or is he going home at night cussing me?
And they say, and I'm going to steal this off one of our previous guests, but it's like, can you trust someone that doesn't care about you?
Exactly.
We work with different manufacturing groups and we take some things for granted that, well, of course you're going to care for your people, but no, that's not, it's this week's target. It's today's hourly target. It's a quarterly budget. because one thing to wake up yourself with the mindset, and yes, lead by example, and we know those things. But how do you build that into an organization? And one of the things I heard you say, Jacob, was your daily huddle is the backbone of your team.
That's right.
So like how does that turn into the backbone?
Thank you for bringing that up. Let me say this up front. Organizations there, since I work with several now, there's different routines that are better for different companies. Maybe it's weekly, maybe it's daily, maybe it's multiple times a day, depending on application, location, and all these things. But at the end of the day, that daily huddle, that group, you get to look at everybody in the eye. You get to communicate. You get to share, whether it's about production schedules or birthdays that are coming up, or a little 10-minute spill on improvement ideas, all kinds of good things. And I'm gonna throw something at you that we won't even be able to finish this session, but it might give you some ideas for the future. There's another level to mindset. After you have this golden rule foundation, and all of these rules are put forth in that daily huddle. That's why the daily huddle, for years, we use that huddle to preach and to teach these principles in all kind of ways. But there's another level, and that's got to do with outward thinking, growth mindset, and servant leadership. And that's how I believe if you really implement those things after you have the solid foundation of mindset, then I believe the organization really starts to make a lot of progress. But I've kind of just dropped the bomb there and walked away.
Hey, that's fair. And, but I want to go with just a little bit of time left here towards the end. I want to throw out this, and that is Haywood, a friend of mine in manufacturing for years. He worked third shift. He worked second shift. He worked on assembly. He worked in machining. I mean, that guy was the most positive mindset individual. And he was not in a position of power or authority, but yet he had great power in that anybody that came across his path was better than they were prior to, right? In the short term, in the long term. And Jacob, at the end of the day, man, we can preach and we can teach all this stuff on leadership and mindset and stuff, but when the brass tacks hit home, it's people like Haywood that I knew that are the ones that make the difference day in and day out. And how do you surround yourself? I mean, it's like those glasses, the mindset goggles, right? Yep. You've got to put those on and keep them on and just drive and move forward. And my question to you, maybe bringing us home here, would be, for somebody that may feel stuck where their mindset is jacked up right now.
Yep.
What's their first move? What would be the top 3 things that they could do in getting out of that funk?
Yeah. Good question. And you gave me the top 3, but I'll just toss something here at you. The first thing is I understand where you're heading, where you're going. But the first thing, I'm just going to reiterate it, is if you make it a point, I'm going to add value to somebody else when I'm stuck. I don't want to, right? It's like exercise. It's like the eating right. I don't want to do it, but I really, truly believe, because you do have to believe, I believe this is going to work. Or I believe Dave, I trust Dave. Dave cares about me. And Dave's telling me I need to give this a shot. I'm going to give it a shot, even if I don't think it's going to work. And I think once somebody starts to add value to somebody else, that I believe that's your initial point, is adding the value. And I'm going to leave it there because I think that's an important number one point.
Hey, if you're focused on others and you can add some value, there's a lot of studies around there of what that does to your serotonin and your oxytocin levels. And that just drives everything. The universe is a beautiful thing. If we do that, we share that, you do the right things, care for people, It's going to help you when you hit those lows, because we're all going to hit them,
Right.
whether we want to admit it or not. Kind of going back to the mindset. It's not about always being, I liked how you said, Jacob, it's not always about being positive. Sometimes it's just about recognizing it, labeling it. You got to trust the process. Yeah, there's more to unpack on that. Maybe we'll have to do that at a later date. But Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time today. Another great episode for our listeners, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to hearing future episodes. And once again, thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time to join us today. How you show up matters.
We'd love for you to subscribe, share with a colleague, and tell us what you think.
Your feedback's important to provide this high-quality, powerful program that makes a difference in your life and others. Take care.
See you next time.